Good evening. Welcome to the Friday Fix. The markets are just opening, so I'll forgive you if you want to watch the open before you join. My fault for delaying, and then Jesse's fault for delaying even more. So it's a joint effort today. Why we're an hour later than usual. Well, 2 hours later than usually scheduled. I have pinged Jesse the invite, which is great. I hope that's going over to him shortly. I will post a. Oh, what is it? Is he joined?
Afternoon, Squire.
Afternoon, Squire. 1 second. Let me just give this a little shout out saying it is live and it's live. 1 second. Right, might as well get the legals out of the way as well. Nothing discussed in this spaces session that constitutes trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PiQ Global Limited, Trainers PiQ or PiQ Suite, or indeed the hosts and affiliates, which, as you know by now, is Team AlphaPicks and Jesse and Phil. Good day to you. Good day. Where is the big man?
It should be on his way.
He's probably being
usually a
shrewdy and
minute
trading
behind,
the
isn't
open,
he?
right?
Yeah.
He's being a shrewdy and trading the open, is my guess. Yeah, it's been a weird week on many levels for me. I'm kind of glad to get it behind me. It's not been a great week, some family bereavements and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I've missed because I'll be honest, I've spent very little time in front of my screens this week. So I'm tuning in just to hear what's happened.
Well, we've had a few things on the news front this week. Obviously, all Trump related.
Well, this is it, right? It does very much feel like we might as well start a secondary show out just called the Trump. Yeah, what's Trump said this week?
Yeah, it's going to be a big chunk of news for the foreseeable.
Yeah, indeed. I do think in general that I do think I know myself and Blonde Money. Oh, is that someone requested? Is that you requested? Oh no. Oh, sorry. What did he join via AlphaPicks and then leave? What's happened there? I can't seem to hear you guys. Well, he's not connected. Are you seeing him connected?
Yeah, he says connected now.
It's not showing up on mine.
I'll write in the chat and get him to leave and come back.
Yeah, I can't see him. I think it's because he requested and then I didn't respond to him. So if he can join again,
yeah.
Or he might have to come under a Phil Rogers. I don't know that account. But yeah, so one of the things, so the political market blast that we do. Oh, there he is. Right, stay there. Don't request. Let me invite you. Invite to co-host. There we go. We've kind of, and I think us three, I have spoken about this before. I think definitely there's room for like the Friday Fix, but I do think we should. Yeah, he's here. I was just basically slagging off. I wasn't. I was just saying. I do think we have spoken about this in the past, and especially going forward, like basically from now. Unfortunately, like I said, this week's been a bit of a shocker for me personally. But yeah, I think there's so much more to going to be talked about, especially with Trump and stuff, that potentially we do some more like little ad hoc things as well. I think really get that content library going. But yeah, it'll be an interesting. But anyway, I digress. No one wants to hear about us chatting. Well, otherwise, what they're here for, I guess. So what has been going on? Because I've only been in front of my screens for pretty much today only.
Yeah, I mean a lot, in short.
But, and that's the end of the show.
Yes, the end of the show. Thank you very much for listening. No, I mean Monday obviously was Martin Luther King Day, which in any ordinary year with the markets closed would be a slightly tamer start to the week. But obviously it tied in with President Trump being inaugurated. So, I mean, from my point of view, and interested to hear your guys' thoughts as well, a lot of actually his executive orders on day one weren't particularly market moving events from us in the markets. You had obviously state of emergency on the US-Mexico border. You had a lot of the sort of purging the civil service, obviously the pardons for some of the Capitol riots, etc. So, I mean, from my point of view, the only two events that were noteworthy was rolling back of the offshore oil and gas leasing bans, and obviously the implications of drill baby drill. And really the other one was actually talking about the tariffs and obviously the slight kickback in the start date for some of the tariffs. So yeah, that was my sort of 30-second take on it.
Yeah,
interested to get your thoughts.
Well, yeah, I think exactly that. I think the interesting thing was that it was one of those the interesting thing is what didn't happen rather than what did happen. Like we were expecting like some sweeping executive orders, potentially tariffs on day one, this, that, the other. Obviously, we didn't get any of that, and I think that was potentially the most interesting thing of the week was the fact that we didn't get anything. Yeah, again, I haven't done it yet, but a few people have like mentioned to me, maybe a key thing to do is reread the Art of the Deal. The one thing with Trump is he doesn't change. Like we know, he's not doing this for show. He's not like when he does his like speeches and stuff, then that is really him. That's what he's always been like from like the last like 30 years. So yeah, I do agree with you. I think going hard on oil, which is something he's rumored to be doing beforehand, what he said he would do. I think that's obviously why crude took a bit of a hit, because there's potentially a lot more crude coming to market. Interesting one today, just to follow up on that, is he seems to be very keen. Trump seems to be very keen on reopening this Keystone pipeline deal. Now that's really interesting because the people behind the pipeline aren't even too sure if they want to do it themselves anymore because of the hassle it's been. So it will be quite an interesting one. If he turns around and says, actually, no, get this built. But no, it's what's your take? Whilst we've just got on this, and obviously most of the chat will probably be Trump related, but what's your take on the China situation in terms of tariff? Because I'll tell you mine first. So where I am with this is, I think he said enough during the lead up to being inaugurated and also during the election process to kind of put the wind up China a little bit and stoke the fire. They also will remember very clearly how he was trying to hold them to task in Trump version 1 when he was 45th president. It does feel like China have been a lot friendlier in the dialogue that they've said, in terms of the headlines we're seeing, slightly more pro-trade with US. So my thinking is he's kind of sat there thinking, well, look, it's had the desired effect. I'm no longer in a rush to put tariffs on China. And obviously we've had the headlines today saying that, he would rather go the trade route than stick tariffs on there, but tariffs are a decent tool.
I agree. I think the whole thing, going back to the art of the deal with Trump, is that, you never can, you think Trump as a very sort of upfront, brash businessman. And to most extent, I believe that to be the case. But then there are these little things where you're like, actually, is he playing sort of, three-dimensional chess here with China? Because when he's talked with Xi yesterday, wasn't it? He said that they had a good conversation. And obviously the fact that, all of a sudden he'd rather not use tariffs against China if they can get some kind of trade deal. So, yeah, I agree with you from the sense of maybe Trump is actually playing quite a shrewd move. He's been aggressive with China to begin with, and actually he's forced them into a corner, getting a trade deal done. And you could argue that a trade deal would have a net better economic impact for both nations than the tit-for-tat tariff. So, I think it remains to be seen. I personally don't think Trump is an insanely shrewd businessman, but maybe he's going to prove me wrong on this on this case of chess. That's my take. Jay, any thoughts?
So, for me, early in the week, there was a lot of talk on the Canadian and Mexican tariffs, and I did think the quietness around China commentary was quite loud, and I was expecting through the week to eventually see some more negative commentary or tariff commentary come through towards China. So it was a bit of a shock, but also being shocked by Trump's playbook is probably not shocking, if that makes sense.
I kind of
switch strategies.
I kind of think I want to know what I'm unpacking there, but
yeah,
I get what you're saying, son. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So no, I think that Trump one definitely is like a let's wait and see if he has outmaneuvered us or otherwise. The other one I thought that has been slightly ongoing story this week is obviously Davos. And unfortunately, my invite to the World Economic Forum got lost in the post this year again. And Ryan, I presume yours didn't come through either.
I don't know why. I
I
bought a
don't
big,
know
like,
why.
yeah, I bought a new Stone Island coat, especially as well.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
devastated.
It would look good on the slopes. But obviously, yeah, Davos has been going on all week. And I always like to keep one eye on Davos. I mean, part of it, some of these conversations in Davos aren't public. You'll never really know what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah,
But certainly in some of the conversations, and we wrote about it today on the crypto aspect, had some interesting points. I mean, a couple of little soundbites just to throw out there. Obviously was Binance CEO Richard Teng and Coinbase's Brian Armstrong. Both were basically saying that they think under Trump, legislation is going to pass a lot swifter in terms of adoption of crypto and more friendly regulatory measures in place. And then, we had Richard Teng, who came out and was like, yeah, I see crypto going to the multi-million price range over time, which obviously he's a crypto guy, but even that's quite
yeah,
adventurous. And then even BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, he came out, he reckons prices to reach between 500 to 700,000. Admittedly, I didn't
yeah.
catch the time frame, but yeah, so Davos, lots of interesting bits coming out of
I
that.
I can't get my head around that because they're smart people, but they do sound like baity headline. They do sound like baity sound bites, almost just to get their name in the paper, kind of thing. But at the same time, these are very big ticket guys that don't need to be saying stuff like that. So it is a bit of a strange one. One thing I did pick up on that, there's little things that annoy me, which is a very long list, and I'm quite little, so I annoy myself quite often. Jesse, you can shut up. So the whole BlackRock have bought 600 million worth of Bitcoin. People need to remember BlackRock aren't buying these. These are like being bought via BlackRock. It's not like they're holding them in like their own little wallet. They're out. They're in the ETFs that they run and all that stuff. So I think it's don't get me wrong. There's a very strong argument to be made for we're still very early. That whole kind of that cliche, but yeah, it's I don't know. I do. Part of me is concerned when the likes of the day before inauguration or the week before inauguration, Trump and then Melanina, whatever her name is, making their own coins.
Yes.
That's kind of very indicative to things that you see at Tops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think at its peak, the Trump coin here, I think it was no, it wasn't. I think it was about 50 billion in market cap, and it was like number 14 on the top rank of crypto coins, which was
Gee.
on early morning pre-inauguration. So
yeah,
yeah,
but this is the thing. It's like all these coins, right? And we know it's right. Yeah, the only rationale for buying something like this is because you think someone else is going to buy it after you. That is the only rationale buying it. No value in it. There's no like intrinsic value to these coins. But it does make you realize that as soon as anyone with any clout, be that Trump or God forbid Musk, decides to do a meme coin, is I hate to say it, but if you can get long within the first like 12 hours, I think you do all right.
it's true.
Nothing is trading advice on the show. Do not listen to me. I'm just having a wind up.
Well, and the problem is in those first 12 hours, it's only usually the obscure exchanges that you can actually get access to it. That's the other problem, right? Like it's not on a Coinbase or a Revolut.
So does that mean I can't like run into the street and just start screaming, I want to buy some Trump coin?
Just start making a market. Open outcry. Bring back open outcry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Funny enough, you said that because I saw eToro eToro and someone else, but definitely I saw eToro tweeting about it. Funny, a good friend of mine, Sam, who runs their education content at eToro, he was tweeting how proud he was of eToro for getting it uploaded as quickly as they did, and I believe it tanked within about half hour. So maybe there's your top signal on these kind of things, right? As soon as the big exchanges like upload them, that's the end of it.
That's true. And then moving on to some more traditional stock stories.
Yes, please.
I was very interested to see Netflix. So their share price jumped over 40% in post-market trading on Tuesday, obviously with the release of their results. Surprised a lot of people, myself included, in the, the stock was already close to all-time highs. It obviously printed fresh all-time highs when the market reopened. They added a record 19 million new subscribers in the quarter. And obviously, everything looks groovy in terms of their outlook. Now, my question for both of you is, the drive here, they had a great slate of content for Q4. They had, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight. They got some NFL games. Obviously, Squid Game 2 was out, all that jazz, and that's brilliant. But from my perspective, I still think the Netflix subscriber model, I think, is a dying breed. I don't think it has longevity. And I feel that they can't keep putting out content slates like they did in Q4 of last year. So for me, I'm a little bit more inclined to sell this or fade this rally. But yeah, that's just my take on it. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, so Jesse. Well, let Jesse. Jesse, have you got any views on this? I feel like it's just been me talking.
I feel like the next step for Netflix will just be bringing on more like sport content and taking these contracts, or buying these smaller streaming services to get the contracts. I actually feel like the subscription model will stay, and their content will broaden out for the next couple of years.
I like what you're saying there. I like to agree with you. I do think the move into sports is something quite massive potentially. Obviously, what I like the way they did this as well to test. Yeah, so I've read some piece that kind of had a bit of a deep dive into the architecture and stuff behind Netflix. And one of the reasons why they wanted to do this Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, not only was it a great promotion for, look, we're now going to start doing live sports and live events, but they knew something like that would get such an incredible amount of viewers that it would allow them to really stress test the infrastructure they've got serving all of this. So potentially now this gives them the green light to go for things like Super Bowl and stuff like that, because that's going to be huge. And then potentially, do they then start looking to do more shorter dated subscriptions, and maybe even one-off day passes? I think Jesse's probably too young for this, but Sky Sports used to do day passes for like really specific events, like maybe like a Champions League final or something like that. So I think these kind of things I think are still there for them. But also, like you said, the content they're putting out is incredible at the moment. Like, I love a bit of Netflix. I'm not going to say Netflix and chill because I don't want you to know my personal life. But, I've been known to do a bit of Netflix and chill. But also, I've read it because I'm quite interested in the whole Netflix play. I'm definitely not sure I would be short it. I'm not sure where I stand on whether or not I'd be long yet. But with the kind of the advancements in AI, it's making production of these high quality, especially ones that rely on special effects and stuff, is making them far cheaper. So I don't know. I'm not too bothered about the subscription model. I do believe, as Jesse said, that perhaps they'll start buying some of the smaller names, subscription models. Also, there's just so much content out there available. They've started showing like Only Fools and Horses. The US crowd won't have a clue what I'm talking about there. But no, I do like it. But also, I do think I think the world is crying out for like PiQ, name drop, aggregates various content feeds and all stuff like that to put into one place. I do think there's a massive gap in the market for an aggregator of subscription services. Like, I would pay like almost like a Spotify model, right? So I'd pay someone £25 a month, $25 a month, that will give me access to basically all the streaming services, and then they get their revenue based on what I'm watching. So it's almost like a Spotify model, but for content streamers.
That's I agree. I mean, I think whether something like that ever could happen, I don't know. But I mean, for sure. I mean, I think that would be an insane product if it could be compiled.
Well, I'm saying this because I've got about 12 different subscription services. I'm not really sure.
Each at your own premium. So that was big news on Tuesday. And then, I mean, why don't we go across to a little stat attack? I mean, I know you've been crying out for a good stat attack that we haven't had for 20 minutes. is. So on Wednesday, Nvidia took over from Apple as the world's most valuable
Oh, no.
company, market cap 3.6 trillion. Now, let's rewind. So the first company to hit the market cap milestones of 1 trillion, 2 trillion, and 3 trillion. Now they're all Mag 7 companies. So you got a 1 in 7 shot of getting it right. Can you name me the first company that hit 1 trillion, 2 trillion, or 3 trillion as the first market cap valuations? That's a great question.
Well, I was about to say when you were reading this out that I was about to say it feels like only yesterday 1 trillion was hit for the first time. In fact, we're at 3 trillion already. Go on, Jay. You go first.
I feel like Apple was the first $1 trillion.
I think
I
Apple
don't know
might
if
be the
I'm
first one.
making up that headline in my head now, or if it is a memory. So I'm going to go Apple as the first trillion.
Well, okay. Hang on, wait there. Before you say the second one, your second choice might influence my first choice. So I'm going to say Amazon as the first one, purely because I'm sure I saw the headline and it began with an A.
It did begin with an A.
Okay.
It was Apple.
Apple were a trillion.
Apple were a trillion. Okay. I should have just stuck with what I initially thought then, but I was trying to be witty. Go on then, Jay. Number 2.
I feel like I want to say it's like I don't know what the current sizes are now. Either like Alphabet or Microsoft, but I can't remember if one of them's quite a bit smaller than the other. I'm going to go Alphabet. Alphabet for 2.
Well, do you know what? I was going to say Alphabet just because it's an A again, so I'm going to say Alphabet for you as well.
Apple.
Yeah,
Apple were first at 2 trillion.
You absolute bastard!
Yeah. Okay, so 3
trillion.
trillion.
It just going to be? Is it just Apple for 3 trillion again?
It's up to you. You gotta get that.
I don't want to be played now.
Apple. I'm going Apple.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
I think I'll just go Apple.
Yeah, it was Apple. Apple for 3 trillion.
Yeah. Oh, thank God for that.
He threw us with the 1 in 7 chance of it.
Oh, he did.
Back
He
7.
did. My head went when he said that.
I mean, quite impressive though when you think about it. Quite impressive.
Oh, very
Apple
impressive.
were first to 1, 2, and 3.
Well,
so
considering there's an argument to say they've actually not made any innovations in the past 10 years. They're just bringing out stuff in different colours.
Agreed.
And maybe maybe over the past 6 months, when did Nvidia first pass Apple? Because they've kind of been like back and forth, haven't they? Like Nvidia.
Well, actually, the interesting statistic was this is only actually the third time that Nvidia is the most valuable company in the world. So it's overtaken obviously Apple now. I think before it was actually, maybe Apple again. I'm not sure, but it is only the third time that Nvidia has held the crown of being the most valuable company in the world. So it's not actually that they have been at the top for a long period of time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, like, is that a whole? Remember talking about Nvidia? Remember the whole? It's just accounting fraud. Is that died now? Because that just went on for so long. And the fact is, whilst they're saying that, you're seeing like these massive companies and massive like AI server farms pop up. They're making like hundreds of billions of dollars worth of orders, and people are still saying, "Oh no, it's accounting fraud." I'm assuming that's dead now, right?
Yeah, I think that's dead. I think that was like what's that guy? Finance a lot. That dude who tweets all these conspiracy theories. I think that's probably something he would be throwing out there.
He blocked me many moons ago for calling out utter bullshit.
Yeah.
I did actually quote him earlier today.
I saw. I liked it.
So that was one spot story. The other stat, I mean, it's not really what it is. It's half of a stat attack. And I saw this, and we actually posted about this morning. Really interesting one from the FT from overnight last night. So the FT risk premium is now negative. And the risk premium is essentially the least it has been since the dot-com bubble in 2002. So essentially, the way the FT have worked out the risk premium is they've looked at the forward earnings yield for the S&P 500 and compared it to the 10-year Treasury yield. And essentially, at the minute, the forward earnings yield for the S&P is just under 4%. whereas you get basically 4.6% on the 10-year treasury. And so that negative 60 bips in between is the lowest risk premium. Well, it's not even a low risk premium, a negative risk premium for taking on equity risk last seen since the dot-com bubble,
Well,
which is a stat.
It's a phenomenal stat. It's one of those that history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. Yeah, I'm always bullish equities, right? I think that's just the way you've got to be in life. I think because especially when you're backing indexes and indices and stuff, you're betting on the best companies in the world per se, especially if you're looking at America at the moment. But there are a lot of things like this that kind of are starting to sing true. You're kind of thinking, hang on a second, the market wouldn't be. Yeah, you would forgive the market for a decent sized pullback. I'm not saying we're going to get one, but I think it would, the market would be a lot in a healthier position if we did have quite a significant pullback. If that made any sense, because the markets do need pullbacks to get rid of like weak length and stuff like that. Funny enough, I posted a video not so long ago, today. It's all right. It's a bit of a just an interesting video to watch, but it was basically about the Wall Street in the 1920s. And people forget that the big surge, like 500% in like 10 years, whatever it was for the Dow, a lot of that was driven by retail money, as in like people that aren't professional investors, on the back of World War, on the back of the war, money going around, the prohibition going on. There was a lot of money around, and they were just thrown into stock markets via stock pools. And again, we're talking now about how often do we talk about retail traders and the impact they've had on Mag 7 and stuff. So, I'm not going to be bearish because it's just not in my nature, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a correction at some point. But, if you fancy trying to guess when that correction is, good luck to you, because I would never try.
Agreed.
And I also think if we were saying over the next 12 months, I think any pullback probably isn't valuation driven. I think it's probably some other headwinds that drive it lower.
And also I think you'll get the snowball effect as well. We know this, right? Especially with weak length in retail. If the snowball starts driving down, you're going to get some serious moves and get some overextension moves. And genuinely, without just being trying to like the cliche, but generational buying opportunities. I would love that. I would love, as a bull, I would love nothing more than over the next couple of weeks, or in the space of a couple of weeks, it dipped 10%. I would love that, because I think you'll just fill your boots and then see you at the end of the year where you're a lot richer.
Well, you heard it here first. Calling the top.
Buy the dips. It works. Why not? We're at all-time highs. Why not? It's like buy the dips blatantly does work.
And in the interest of time, only one last story I wanted to talk about, which was obviously the Bank of Japan, which was sort of overnight tonight. And I love it because you get these headlines where it's like, oh, the interest rates they've increased rates the highest since 2008, since the global financial crisis, all this yada yada yada. But in reality, you saw a little bit of yen strength, which has completely reversed now as we speak. And given what was expected and given what Raider and Co said, I actually think it was a bit of a non-event as far as I'm concerned. They didn't say anything new, and the whole rhetoric of the highest level since 08 or whatever. Again, these are stats you can pull out, but in this case, they're actually slightly meaningless comparisons as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think part of me was thinking until the Nikkei sources comment came out, which yesterday, there was a lot of sources saying, we're hiking to 0.5. And when you tend to get that many sources comments, any other major central bank, it's nailed on. But the Bank of Japan, there's one major central bank that would just kind of just still go against what the sources comments were coming out with. It would be Bank of Japan. But when we saw the Nikkei sources come out yesterday, I was like, okay, well, this is nailed on. Quite frankly, and this is something that I mentioned a couple of weeks back. I didn't believe for a second that they would end up hiking at all. I think I in my head, because of what's going on politically there as well, I thought they were going to miss the boat completely, and their next move would be a cut. Not yesterday, obviously, but I mean, in some point. So I'm quite surprised they have hiked. I'm pleased they have for their own sake, because I believe now it gives them that little bit of extra wiggle room when they will need to cut. But no, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I completely agree with you. It was just a massive word salad, and I think that's why the knee-jerk moves we saw, a lot of it was unwound straight away. What was it like? But Jesse was showing up. Was it end of the carry trade 2.0? Was it bollocks? It's utter nonsense.
Utter nonsense. Yeah, that was the one I saw of the financial lot dude, which I was like, come on, bro.
Mate.
Hey,
Yeah, come on.
That's basically it from me. That's a succinct 30-minute roundup, I think, there and then. Happy to throw it open if I've missed anything, or yeah.
Jesse, what you got?
Nothing on my end.
Oh, okay. Guy, well, look, Phil, Jesse, that was awesome. I'll get this up on Spotify and whatnot. Unfortunately, and again, I'll hold my hands up. I had promised in the past I'll get it sorted, but unfortunately, I was in Somerset for most of the week dealing with a funeral, unfortunately. But we move on. So for next week, we will have our competitions up and all stuff like that, and hopefully as well, the Spotify player podcast will be available on the PiQ platform by next week as well. So that'd be even better. So another distribution channel for all of these. Big shout out to our friends at CME. Got the very, very good little partnership building with them. So more to come in the quarters and later on this year. Well, hopefully starting next quarter. Some really interesting little stuff we're going to be doing with them. They've got a load of really great contracts to check out, and they're also bringing out some very, very retail-focused contracts, which I'm under pain of death if I tell anyone anymore, but some very interesting things are coming quite soon. So keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely be posting about that. But yeah, definitely check them out. If you are allowed to, obviously, I don't believe you will be able to if you're based in the UK, but CME have some very good event contracts as well, which are worth checking out on their website. They're basically like zero DTE options, but they're quite interesting how they play around with them. You can access them via some certain broker stuff. But anyway, I'm waffling. Guys, Team AlphaPicks, as always, you are fucking incredible. Thank you for taking the time to do these. And we will see you next week.
Awesome. Enjoy the weekend, guys.
See you later.
Ciao for now.
Cheers.
See you, mate. Bye-bye.